Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the 3-day social media challenge. I'm hoping people are joining in. While everyone's joining in, I'm curious if you got to work on goal setting and planning after yesterday's session. So let me know in the chat if you did, or if you weren't here yesterday, if you got a chance to watch the replay, have any questions on that. I'd be curious to know. Speaking of questions, just like yesterday, we are going to answer the questions at the end of the session. So add your questions into the Q&A box here. And just like yesterday and just like tomorrow, my colleague Andrea will be here with us in the chat so that we can have everything that we need in order to get this party started. So today we are talking about, let me do that first to share my screen with you guys. Everyone can see my screen, right? Yes, perfect. Cool. So this is the second day of a 3-day webinar series about how you can create your social media strategy. Yes, you can see yesterday's replay. You should be able to see that on our YouTube channel, or if you were registered yesterday, you can see it. You should have it in your inbox as well. So if you're just joining, this 3-day series is here to help you get everything settled with your social media strategy, starting with goal setting, planning, content creation, which is what we'll be tackling on today's episode, engagement and analytics, which are tomorrow's theme. And this way you'll be able to have everything that you need in order to craft the perfect strategy for you. Also, if you haven't been present yesterday, or you didn't get a chance to be here in the beginning, if you commit to being live with us on all 3 days, you automatically are entering a contest to get one of the following prizes. So you can get Social Bee subscriptions, you can get Concierge Bee services, and you can also get a lifetime plan on our calendar booking solution, which is ACE Meetings. And again, all you have to do is join in and be present with us here. I see some day 2 people over here in the chats, which is awesome. Let me do a victory emoji thing, confetti for you guys. I'm so happy to have you all back here with us. As I said, today we're going to work on content creation. And more specifically, we are going to do so and talk about 3 main strategies. Before we do that, though, if you don't know me, hi, I'm Anka. I'm a social media strategist here at Social Bee, and I'm your host for today's challenge, for this week's challenge, actually. Okay, so let's talk strategies for creating content. We're going to talk about 3 strategies in particular, the ones that you currently see on screen, which are content generation using AI, batching your content creation, and repurposing or reusing your content. So we're going to go through each of these in more detail, and we're going to learn a little more about how we can make it more effective when creating content so that we don't have to constantly find new ways of reinventing the wheel, saying the things that we need to say in the content, making it effortless, making it easy for us to get the attention on content, get those goals reached. And we're going to start with speeding up your content creation by using AI tools. Now, there's an array of AI tools out there. It really did explode with a lot of tools that you can use right now that have AI, including Social Bee. And you can use AI for virtually any part of your marketing strategy, and not just that. So we can use AI to brainstorm social media content ideas. We can use AI to outline effective calendars for our content. We can use AI to generate posts entirely, top to bottom. We can use it to come up with replies to messages, to comments, to things like that. We can use it to discover new hashtag ideas. We can use it to write scripts for the videos that we're going to produce, or improve existing content to make sure that we optimize its reach. These are just a few of the ideas that you can use AI for. But just to give you like a little bit of context for using AI and why you should do it, think about the time that you spend when creating content. It takes a while. Creating content effectively takes a while. So if you're having to use a tool that helps you come up with posts on a quicker time frame, that helps you create the content a lot faster, then you are going to spend less time creating that content, that same content, so that you can focus your energy on other aspects of your business that are also require your attention. So this is especially important for smaller businesses, for solopreneurs, for people who don't have a big team to handle everything that they need, and people who actually need to do more in less time. So now we'll focus on content creation with AI using the ideas that I have on screen right now, right? So you can already see an example in the slide that I have here. This is where we can brainstorm ideas. You can just add a prompt, and we'll talk about how you can construct your prompt as well. But you can just add a prompt to brainstorm ideas on a specific topic, to work on specific ideas that you already have and expand on them, or so much more, just to kind of generate the content that you need. I also have another example here where you create a content calendar. This particular one is from our previous challenge back in January, where I created a prompt to create a calendar for the month of March. So that's why it says March in there. But essentially, you could use this type of a prompt for any month or no month at all. So you can just add your time frame in there just like that. With this one, what we did is we prompted ChatGPT to create a content calendar for 1 month and have it customized for a business consultant. So in this case, we included in the prompt some details such as the goals of the business consultant. So you can see here that the goal is to reach a wider audience. The goal is to book more customer calls, things like that. You'll also see that we included things like more information about the target audience. This business consultant helps small businesses increase their profitability through digital marketing. You also see that we ended up with a lot of information. So the screenshot that you're seeing here is minimal from the information that we got. So essentially, we ended up with a daily breakdown of the schedule with all the ideas that we needed and all the posts that we needed for a full month's worth of content. And that's amazing. So that saves a lot of time, because now all you need to do is fact check the posts, make sure that they are in your tone of voice, edit them here and there, tweak them here and there to really work for you. And then you can have them ready from there on. So how do you write effective prompts for your AI? I'm sure you already have played around with this, and most of you already know how to write effective prompts, but just to break it really down, there are a few specific steps that you should use when creating a prompt from scratch. So the first step is to specify what you want the AI tool to write about and what perspective. So if you want the AI tool to bring a specific expertise, act as a social media strategist, act as a life coach, act as a fill in the blank, CEO, whatever it is that you need to fill in, and write about social media marketing, whatever it is that the topic you want to create content for is. So this is what you need to think about first. What point of view should the content be created from the expert usually, and what perspective, what type of topic is it going to cover. Then you're going to work even further into it and give enough context for your prompt. If you just say act as a social media strategist and create a strategy for 1 month for my business, it doesn't have enough context. But if you give more context, things like who's your target audience? What's the result that you want? What's your goal? What things you need to keep in mind or highlight in that post, things like that. So think about all the context that you can give to make this the best possible prompt and the best possible result in the end. And the third step is that you need to define your restrictions if you have any. So things that you want to avoid. Avoid being too salesy, avoid being too friendly, avoid topics like politics and religion, avoid talking about XYZ. So you can use these to kind of make sure that you're avoiding any things that would deem that output, that result, unusable for you. So once you have all these, and by the way, you can do all of this within Social Bee as well. So if you already have Social Bee, you can do it within Social Bee's Copilot, which is a step-by-step AI assistant, and it can help you generate the entire strategy. Or you can use the AI generating tools inside the post editor to generate captions, to generate images, or even to just rewrite the content and generate variations for each social profile. In the generate captions field, you also have several collections of prompts available, but you can also build the prompt here the way I mentioned earlier. So there's a lot of things that you can do with the AI tool in Social Bee if you already have Social Bee as a tool. Or if not, you can use tools like ChatGPT or other free tools that you might want to use, or any other tool that you have at your disposal, essentially. So I'm going to give you 10 effective phrases that you need to have in your toolkit when working with AI. The first one is the one that I already used as an example: act as a, and include the title, the job description, things like that. Use a specific tone of voice in order to make sure that you're working in your tone of voice. So informal, formal, professional, friendly, whatever it is that you want to do. Write a social media post designed for a specific target audience, include the details, and have them do a specific action. So things like this. Use any one of the formulas that are available to write a specific type of post, whether you're using AIDA or any other formula for creating content. You can do that with ChatGPT, and it's a lot easier. Summarize the following text into. So if you have a blog post that's long, it's like, let's say 2,000 words long, and you want to create a post on your social media promoting that blog post, you can summarize the entire thing in one go with the AI tool and just have it create a post for your social media specifically from your blog. Focus on a specific angle is also a good one. Address the following customer pain points. This will help you make sure that your customers know that they can reach you specifically with the content that you're providing, because you are providing a solution to their existing problem. And finally, create a sense of and include the desired effect that you need. So that might be I don't know, nostalgia, for instance. If you're a fan of the retro vibes, if you're a fan of 90s music, 2000s music, you might want to generate nostalgia for your audience. The final one here is to prioritize uncommon or expert advice. And this is especially important because it's the one that gets overlooked the most. So when you are using when you're using prompts and AI tools, they tend to bring in the same results over and over again because they are the most commonly used answers. But if you say something like prioritize uncommon or expert advice, it'll bring up something that not a lot of people are saying. That's equally valuable, but it's something that will help you stand out a little more. So we're going to look at a good prompt and a not so good prompt here on the screen so that you can figure out exactly how you can build your prompts. So I have the not so good prompt, which is very generic on the left side. Write a promotional social media post for a marketing agency. It can happen that it's a good post, but it's very unlikely because this does not give any context about the marketing agency, the target audience of the marketing agency, or what the post should be about, other than just promotional. On the other hand, if you look at the good option, I want you to act as a social media specialist. So already we have the expertise established. Write a promotional post. We're including the content pillar that we want to work with for LinkedIn. So we're also including more specific details about how your marketing agency can help small businesses. We're including information about the target audience, increase their sales. Again, we want to include more information about the audience. You can then address 3 customer pain points from my target audience and use a persuasive tone of voice. So we're also giving recommendations on the type of tone of voice that we want to use in our content to convince small business owners. So again, we're going back to the target audience to book a free consultation call. So we want them to do a specific action. And then we also want to make sure that we avoid using any aggressive sales phrases, tactics, anything like that, that would shatter our efforts, let's say. So not so good versus good. It's a lot more detailed, it's a lot more nuanced, and it can be customized a lot better. Now, moving on from the AI into the second strategy that we have for content creation, this is content batching. If you don't know what content batching is, it's when you sit down on a regular basis and you create content in batches so that you have for the next time frame, whether that's weekly or monthly or quarterly, it's up to you, but you can sit down and just create the content and have it go live whenever it needs to, but not have to worry that you still need to create it. Now, in order to be effective with creating content or with creating content through the batching technique, you need to be mindful of 3 things. And they are the things that you see on the screen right now. So knowing your typical post anatomy, that means looking into more detail on the elements of your post and what you need in order to create said post. We're going to work on that too. Use post templates for your visuals. That means keep a consistent style because it'll make it easier and quicker for you to create the visuals from there. And 3, have multiple hashtag collections for each content pillar, for each theme that you're using. That way you do your research once and then you have your content or your hashtags ready to use for whenever you need to create content. And by the way, yes, you can store your hashtags into collections in Social Bee as well. So you can do that into the hashtag collections tab here. What I didn't mention on this slide, however, is another thing that you need to keep resources for content ideas. So we mentioned AI, that's a great way to brainstorm content ideas. You also can use lists of content ideas. And actually we have a few of those. Andrea, can you add them? Oh, I think you already did. There we go. That's awesome. So we're going to add in the chat a few resources that you can use for ideas for your social media content, as well as holiday calendars, which is another great way to fill out your content here and there. So Andrea will add those all into the chat while I sip some water that I have right here. If you have some water next to you, go ahead and also take a sip. Okay, so we're talking about the anatomy of a post first. So whenever you're batching content, there are a few techniques that you can use to speed up the process. Whether you're working on post by post or elements specifically for all of your posts in that batch, you need to know exactly what you need in order to be able to work on them, right? So for that, we're going to think about the platforms that we're going to use. We're going to think about the visuals that we're going to need, whether it's video, whether it's an image, whether it's multiple images in a carousel, things like that. So whatever method you usually use, think about what you need for each one of your posts. So on the left side of your screen right now, you're seeing an Instagram post and the anatomy of an Instagram post, where you can see the visual, you can see the caption, you can see a call to action. These are 3 elements already that I need. And you also need hashtags. So these are the 4 elements that I need in order to create my Instagram content. On the other hand, on the right side, you see a Pinterest post. Specifically, the screenshot is from Social Bee, but it kind of behaves the same in any other tool, including Pinterest natively. So you'll always need to think about what board you're including your pin on, what link you're going to use, because you need to send that content to a specific link, the title that you're going to use for your pin, the visual that you're going to use, the caption, the call to action. So there's a lot more that goes into it than just dropping the post in there. Now let's talk about templates here. Once you have all the elements that you need, you can focus your attention on creating, let's say, the visuals first, and then adding the captions for each visual. Now, in order to streamline this process, you can create templates in Canva, in any other visual tool that you might be using, so that you don't have to reinvent the wheel every single time. You can use the same type of content for different contexts. And this will provide you and your account with a lot of consistency across your posts and across your platforms. And there's quite a few things that you can do here, including a cool Canva trick that I usually show in my workshop, content batching workshops. We don't have a lot of time to go through it here. You'll have to join a workshop at some point and we'll go through it there. But essentially, you can bulk create content in Canva as well, and then bulk import it into Social Bee, for instance, so that you have it all ready in a lot less time than what you would do otherwise. And then for hashtags, as I said in the beginning, you need to have your hashtags grouped into collections, sets that are ready to use. You can organize them based on content pillar, on topic. You can organize them based on the different subjects that you're approaching. It's really up to you how you want to organize them. It just helps you a lot to make sure that you have them ready to go. So in order to have your hashtag collections ready to go, the first thing you need to do is to identify the main categories or main themes that you regularly use to create content. This thing we already did yesterday. Hopefully you did it as well. You've identified your content pillars and themes of content that you would be using in your strategy. The next thing is to include a mix of popular and niche hashtags in your collections. The way you can do this on platforms like Instagram and TikTok specifically, for instance, is you can actively look them up on the platform, see how the usage is, whether it's 200 posts, 10,000 posts, 2 million posts using that hashtag. It will help you find a balanced approach to your hashtags. So when I say a mix of popular and niche hashtags, Popular ones are the bigger ones, the ones that most people use. Niche are a little smaller, but they're more detailed. Think of them like keywords, where general keywords are the popular hashtags, and let's say long-tailed keywords are the niche hashtags, the ones that would actually bring in more niched customers to you. You also need to stay relevant. These hashtags, especially nowadays, act as SEO keywords. So you can stay relevant by making sure you are including hashtags that are specific to your topic, to your post, to your niche, and they are there to help others discover your post a lot easier. Now, depending on the platform that you're using, you should aim for a mix of around 5 to 15 hashtags per collection. Each platform has different best practices when it comes to hashtags, and they are constantly changing. So for instance, a few years ago, Instagram was recommending that you add the maximum amount of hashtags, which is 30. Nowadays, that's no longer the case. You only want to add 5 to 8 hashtags on Instagram and make them really count and really work for you. Now, because this is something that you do once and then you have on a longer term, it's important to also periodically review and update your collections to make sure that you avoid any hashtags that might have been banned in the meantime, avoid any hashtags that are no longer usable, that are no longer relevant for your audience, and things like that. And then the third strategy that we're talking about today is to repurpose and reuse your content. And you might think that reusing your content is not something that's still relevant in 2024, but actually it can save you a lot of time. And that's because a small percentage of your audience actually reaches your content. So think about your reach, your overall reach. You already know that not all of your followers see your content. So reusing your content will give you an increased chance of your audience actually seeing it. An even smaller percentage of the people who actually see the content will remember it. So repetition is key here. And then all of this is actually good news because that means that you can create less new content and just reuse the content that you already have created in order to maximize your strategies. And a few ways in which you can repurpose your content, because repurposing does not, let me clarify this. Repurposing does not mean sharing the same thing over and over again. That's not it. Repurposing and reusing your content is something that you can do to customize each post for all of your socials. So make it so that your post is a thought leadership piece on LinkedIn, but something maybe a little more entertaining on Instagram or educational on TikTok and things like that. Create variations of visuals or the captions for one post. You can do this part using the AI so that you switch things up a little bit. Even if you're sharing the same idea, let's say this is a basic promotional post where Social Bee promotes the calendar that we have where anyone can book a call with our team to get a demo of Social Bee or to get support questions answered or things like that, right? So we want to promote the book a call post. But we wouldn't want to say the same thing over and over again. However, there's not much to say. You're just going to ask your audience to book a call if they want to. What you can do is rewrite it and reshine it, repackage it into different perspectives so that you're able to reshare the same thing without it feeling repetitive, so that it's fresh every time you're sharing it. And then a third strategy here is to repurpose the content that you have into larger formats, longer format videos or blogs or ebooks or guides or things like that into more social media, bite-sized, small attention span pieces. So you can use all of these tactics and so much more in your content. So let's go through each of them in more detail, starting with customizing your content for each post, for each social platform. You can reuse this post from one platform to another without it feeling identical, without it being the same thing, because you can edit them to meet the specific requirements of each platform. That said, you can have Instagram carousels and an X or Threads post that say the same idea in totally different ways. You can have a LinkedIn text-only post, and you can have Instagram caption plus carousels to provide the same educational information. You can have a Pinterest infographic that provides the same information that a carousel would have on Instagram. You can have tweets converted into Instagram visuals. There's a whole bunch of ways that you can use this. And you'll see a few examples here. So we have an X post, I guess. I'm still going to call them tweets. The X post is on the left, but then we also took that and created a visual from it for Instagram so that we can actually work with it a little more, share the same information with some additional insights there as well. When you're working on creating post variations, think about the content that you've already published and tweak elements in the visual area or in the caption. So I do this a lot when I announce a webinar, when I announce an event. I create countdowns to that event, and then I just tweak the caption to change the number of days left or hours or time left until the event starts. You can do this to promote a product launch, a grand opening, like the example that we had yesterday talking about it. You can promote a limited time offer. You can showcase different product features for the same product. And a good example of that, if you remember yesterday's water bottle example, I mentioned that I have, let's imagine that I'm selling water bottles and that I have them in multiple colors. I can just share the same post and the visual can be a different bottle every single time. You can also introduce different team members, make it a series, work with the same template to kind of give visual consistency to your content. And then repurpose larger pieces of content into bite-sized pieces. Think about webinars, longer format videos, share them into snippets as reels, as TikToks, as shorts. You can go with blog posts, then you convert into carousels, then you convert into a LinkedIn thought leadership piece or a Facebook post, Pinterest graphics. There's a whole bunch of things that you can do. And there's a whole bunch of tools that you can do this with. So ChatGPT is there to help you with any part of this. But if you have like a longer clip that you might want to break down into specific bite-sized pieces, Opus Clip is a good option for that as well. We are going to go into the practical exercise really soon. Don't forget to add your questions into the Q&A box at the bottom. But in the meantime, let's do a little recap of what happened today, what we talked about today. So we're going to think about the anatomy of a post first. We're going to think about what types of strategies we're going to use when creating content, what content we need to create, and then we're going to work efficiently on creating that content through one of the 3 strategies that we mentioned in today's webinar. This will help you republish content at a slower rate. No, sorry. Let me rephrase that. So republishing content at a slower rate will help you mix it in with new content, will help you create more quality content because you are not having to push out as much new content because you already have it mixed in with the content that you already shared. This will help you avoid be spammy with your content or have low quality content. It will also help you keep track of all of your posts you can look at the performance of each post, and we'll talk about that more detailed tomorrow in the analytics section. But essentially, you can look by repurposing the content, you can look at how it performs, and when it stops performing, you can stop resharing it. A good rule of thumb here is to wait around 90 days before recycling content, or to make sure that you highlight the types of content that you want to recycle, so that you're not recycling content that you're not comfortable with. So going into the practical exercise for today, just as a reminder, this is 15 minutes where you can do the work. I'm going to turn off my microphone and be available in the chat in case you need me. Today's exercise is for you to choose 2 posts that you already have, that you've published, and find one way to recycle or repurpose them. So whether you're moving them from one platform to another, creating a different social media post from your blog post, or whatever it is, I'm curious to see what you can come up with. So the 15 minutes start now, and we'll end in 15 minutes. Okay, so I'm seeing a few links popping up here and there. For the first one, I'm not able to access the link that you're sending. I'm trying to do so on a separate window here, and it's just leading me to Facebook Watch in general. I'm going to address Emily's in the meantime so that we move past it. I'm bringing it closer to my eyes. There we go. So this is one post that I have reused on our socials. I edit the caption differently for each platform, whether that be simply text or thumbnail. Right now, with the it skipped. Where is it? Oh, good God. With the foliar season, I base our content for the week centered around the product, and a product highlight similar in a post, whether it be in field content or testimonial from a grower. So let's see the actual post, see if this actually works. Let me copy it correctly. There we go. So this is the post. And let's see. So this is the post that you are going to repurpose. Okay. Cool. So I think that works, honestly. Having different visuals or different tweaks to it, I think that really, really works for you. Sandra is providing an Instagram post. I added behind the scenes by using 3 old posts. Let's see this. Oh, this is makeup and eyebrows. I like that. Yeah, perfect. That's great. So you're reusing visual content that you already have into a behind the scenes post. That's great. Let's see if the first post now works. Hopefully so. Nope, this is not available, unfortunately. Maybe the content is private, or it's not available in specific countries. Okay, so these are posts that I have created with AI. One is focused on Medicare. That would be this one. Okay, and the other one focused on turning 65, and I repost and I have used. So that's great. You're reusing the idea in order to promote Medicare. That's amazing. Congratulations. I think you're all doing great. I used the long blog and created text for the post as a gift. Long post is here, and the new repurposed content is below. So looking for the perfect gift for a boater in your life. No. This looks great. I think this works perfectly fine. So I think you kind of get the idea. I'm not sure if there's a reason for us to continue with the practical exercise anymore. You kind of get the idea of it, which is great. I also see a few questions in the Q&A section. So I'm going to go ahead and address those since I'm talking. Anyways, you can continue working on repurposing content if you want to. In the meantime, if you're not using Social Bee yet, just know that you should. All of the techniques that I have been talking about today are present in Social Bee, whether it's working with AI tools to brainstorm, to create your content, to repurpose your content, whether it's working with Canva, which is integrated within Social Bee, or bringing in visuals and bulk importing content and all of that, or even just reusing content because you also have that option in Social Bee. So if you're not yet using Social Bee, don't forget to take advantage of our offer and use one of the codes depending on the plan that you want to purchase, whether it's a monthly plan or a yearly plan, to get started with Social Bee and use all of the knowledge that you have learned today and yesterday as well. So let's go into the questions that we have here. We have 3 questions right now. Do you use hashtags for Pinterest? Being the first question, the answer is yes. You should use hashtags for Pinterest. Pinterest's way of working is through hashtags as keywords, as well as keywords in the caption. So definitely use Pinterest hashtags. I would go for about 3 to 5 hashtags at most for Pinterest. Can I use the same post for Facebook and Instagram? Yes, you can, but it depends on your strategy on whether you should use the exact same post or not. If you have the exact same audience, they might find it repetitive if you see the exact same thing on both platforms, and just skip it on one of the platforms. Because if I'm scrolling Instagram and I'm like, oh, I've already seen this post on Facebook, I don't want to see it again. I'm going to scroll up and move past your post. If it's not exactly the same, then I might actually reread it and it might stick in my head a lot better. If your audiences are different though, if you have a separate audience on Facebook and a separate one on Instagram, then yes, you can definitely reuse the same post on the 2 platforms, making sure that you are using the platform-specific best practices for each. Okay, next question that we have is, how do I keep track of what posts are currently queued and how to prevent certain posts from showing up in less than 90 days if the reuse setting is on? Is there a way for all the posts that are loaded to get seen, or can I just look at the upcoming scheduled posts? I'm assuming you're talking about Social Bee in here. In Social Bee, there are a few things you should know about reusing content. Reusing content works with categories and category scheduling. So in this case, let's take an example here. If we look at weekly blog posts, let's say we schedule this category to publish content. And because it's evergreen content, it's content that we want to reshare, we can just repurpose it and reshare it. So let's say we want to share 1 blog post every week. We currently have 59 posts in this category. That means that I have 59 weeks before my post gets republished, because it goes week 1, post 1, week 2, post 2, week 3, post 3, and so on and so forth. If the same category, however, is scheduled once a day, then we have 59 days before the posts get rescheduled. And that's provided that all of the posts in that category are set to active, because draft posts are not getting shared, so those don't really count. So you have to take into consideration this when figuring out how much content you need to have in the category so that it doesn't reuse. Or if you're using specific scheduling times, you can just set it at the times that you need it to. And as for loading all of your posts, you can only load 100 at a time in the next posts menu right now. This will change in a future update of Social Bee. I'm not going to say more. You'll see it when it's live, but I think it will be pretty awesome and pretty useful anyway. Did you say you can set up Social Bee to repurpose your old posts? Yes, you can. So you can use it with category posting. When you edit your categories, you have an option to requeue and reuse your content. That means that you can create, let me actually show you instead of talking about it. When you're creating a post with the AI tool, let's say we want to create an Instagram post, right? I'm going to generate captions for Instagram. I have a few favorites here, so I'm going to go with a breakfast recipe. I'm going to choose a friendly tone of voice. Let's say we want to make this a savory recipe, and avoid avocado because we don't want avocado. Okay, so we wanted to generate, let's say, 3 versions, and I'm going to enable generate hashtags as well because that also brings up some hashtags for me. I'm going to generate the post. It's coming up with a few suggestions. I think these are quite scarce, so I'm going to increase the word limit a little bit, maybe around 200, and regenerate here to kind of see if I can get some better options here. And I am. So you can see that I now have 3 options here. Let's assume that I actually like all 3. I can just select the ones that I like and use them in my post. And now I have 3 variations. So the same recipe essentially can get shared 3 times without it feeling like a duplicate. So that's one thing you can do with the AI. And then when this post gets publishing, the first time it goes out, variation 1 goes out. The second time it goes out, variation 2 goes out, and so on. And it keeps cycling through them, which is amazing because it saves you a ton of time. And you can also use it further to actually customize it for each social, if you're sharing this on multiple socials, or even just use it to generate an image for this prompt. And you can have the prompts suggested here. You can choose the number of images that you want to generate. It takes a little bit of time to generate the image, but it can come up with quite a few good images here as well. So there's a ton of things that you can do. You can also do all of these things manually with Social Bee. So you can create the variations manually. If you refuse to use AI for whatever reason, you can also add your images from Canva, from your computer, from different mediums. You have all of these options here for you to use. So now I can just select the image and add it into my post like so. And now I have it on my 3rd variation, of course, because my first 2 don't have a video or an image. Okay, next question. No. I read Jen Riley's post and I have a similar question. I used Social Bee to post on Instagram and Facebook and it didn't resize the Insta properly. I'm not sure which question that is. Was it in the chat and I missed it? Above. I'm not seeing it. Is it the one with, can I use the same post on Facebook, on Instagram? Ah, okay. Sorry. So I think I already answered this one. Do you still have questions about it? I'm not really sure. So in the meantime, let me answer a few other questions here. So that is the reason you have multiple posting options. Yes, that is the reason you have multiple posting options so that you can choose whatever works best for you in Social Bee. So let me revisit this one. Just about the image, does it resize? You can resize it to suit the needs that you have for each platform. So essentially you have this cropping tool that you can see here at the bottom left corner of the image, the pencil icon. When you use it, you can crop it, to resize it to different aspect ratios that work for different platforms. And that way you can make sure that you have the right one for you. And the final question that I have here is, can you set the tone of voice and image style for the Social Bee AI post creation to line up with your brand? So the answer to this is yes, and I think you just saw me do that on screen. When you generate captions, you can choose the tone of voice from a few different options here, and you can also reiterate it in the caption. And a little side note, because this is a question that I get asked a lot on calls, you can also use these prompts in different other languages. So if you're creating your content in, let's say, Spanish, and you want to create captions in Spanish, instead of doing this, you could just, let me move this further. Let's bring back that prompt, and we can just say, create a post in Spanish featuring your favorite healthy recipe. And then now when I generate my content, it'll be in Spanish instead of English. So you can actually work with everything there. Let's see if I have anything else. I don't think I have any other questions in here. I'm also checking the chat. When posting, I can see that it says posted via Social Bee. Can anyone see that? So posted via Social Bee is a marker that you get to see because you're an admin of that page. And that's typically only shown on Facebook. Just how it says, so when there are multiple admins to the page, you'll see that Anka published a post, or Andrea published a post, or whoever else's admin published a post on your page. And that's only visible to the admin. The same thing with applications, because you need to know where that post is coming from. It's letting you know as the admin that the post is published through the Social Bee app that you're using, that you've authorized. And it's not just a random post that randomly showed up on your page. But no one outside of the admins can see that. Okay, so I think that's all that we have for today. If you have any other questions, now's the time to ask them. If not, thank you all for joining us today. If you do end up having other questions, you can always reach out to us via email, anka@socialbee.com or hello@socialbee.com. Feel free to also connect with me on LinkedIn if you want to. And I'll see you guys tomorrow in the next session. So tomorrow we're going to tackle analytics, we're going to tackle engagement, and we are going to work with that into putting all of the strategy together. I'll see you guys tomorrow. Oh, I actually have a last minute question here. So when you repurpose content, is it always for the same platform? It doesn't have to be. You can repurpose content that you have on Instagram to work for TikTok or LinkedIn or X or whichever other platform that you have. It doesn't have to be for the same platform. It can be whatever it needs to be for you to make it work. Awesome. Well, with that, I'm closing the questions section, and I'll see you guys tomorrow with the final day.